Hello. A good day to all the participants. Please wait patiently because our event is about to begin shortly. Thank you. To all the participants, I hope you guys are doing great. Our event will begin shortly, so please wait patiently. Thank you. Hello, Dr. Nagin. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Yes, we all can hear you. So I start with the program, okay?
Okay, yep.
to TS Dr. Nagentrau Muniandy, Dr. Hasrin Hani, postgraduate student chapter committee members, and all participants. Good day to all of you. My name is Karthikesan Murugaya, and today I'm going to be a moderator. It's a great pleasure to welcome all of you today to Alumni Sharing Webinar Energize Your Postgraduate Journey, proudly organized by Postgraduate Students Chapter Committee UTHM. Before we start with our event, I would like to invite Mr. Muhammad Hakimi to recite prayers.
Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin, hamdan yuafi ni'amahu wa yukafi'u mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhika wa azimi sultanik. Allahumma ighfir lana dhunubana wa liwalidayya warhamhuma kama rabbayani shighara wa li jami'il muslimina wal muslimat wal mu'minina wal mu'minat al ahya'i minhum wal amwat bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, hanya padamu kami panjangkan kesyukuran atas segala rahmat dan berkat-Mu. Kami memohon taufik dan hidayah-Mu. Kurniakanlah kesejahteraan dan kebahagiaan kepada kami. Bukakanlah hati kami, lapangkanlah dada kami, supaya kami dapat mengisi ilmu pengetahuan yang berguna untuk agama, bangsa dan negara. Ya Allah, ya Rahman, ya Rahim, kami memohon kepadamu agar engkau berkatilah majlis ini dengan limpahan rahmat-Mu. Semoga segala usaha kami dalam menjayakan webinar ini dapat keredaan-Mu. Mudah-mudahan engkau permudahkan dan lancarkanlah segala urusan kami. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Wa sallallahu ala sayidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wasallam. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Thank you, Muhammad Hakimi, for the prayers. Dear participants, today our speaker is going to be Dr. Nagentrau Muniandy. Dr. Nagin is a proud product of UTHM. He was a lecturer in the University of Wollongong, Malaysia, KDU University College. Currently, he is serving as a lecturer in Taylor's University. So, it's been a while since we meet, Dr. Nagin. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. How about you guys?
We all are great. It's an honor to welcome you to be a speaker for our event today. I know you all have been excited to learn something new, but before we start, I would like to set a few ground rules. Please switch off your mic or else it will cause inconvenience to the speaker. If you have any questions, you can type or you can open your voice chat to ask. But after that, please switch off your mic again. Please fill in the feedback form at the end of the session. I hope everyone is clear with the rules. Your cooperation will be a great asset for the success of this workshop. So, Doctor, are you ready? Because the screen is all yours now.
Yep. So I will share the screen first. So you guys able to see my screen? Can someone respond, please?
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right. So before I start, maybe I would like to say hi to Dr. Azrin and also Dr. Rais. So hope Dr.
Hi,
Azrin and Dr.
Nadim.
Rais doing good there.
Yeah, we are good. Thank you.
Jom
And,
sarapan,
Thank you
jom.
for accepting our invitation.
and yeah, thank you for inviting me to for this sharing session. And yeah, I'm happy to share whatever I go through during my postgraduate journey. Right. Yep. So let us start. So talking about today's topic. So basically, it's the alumni sharing webinar, and the topic is energize your postgraduate journey. So talking about the topic, yeah, all of us, yeah, here we are postgraduate students, right? And of course, we don't want to have a very normal postgraduate journey. We need to add value to our journey, right? So, but how we are going to do that, right? How we are going to do that? So today I'm here to share about it, right? So before we move further, let me introduce myself, right? So I'm IRTS Dr. Nagentrau Muniandy, and I will proudly say that I'm a UTHM product. You can see from my diploma, degree, master, and my PhD. So basically, UTHM is a second home for me. Yep, and my working experience. So currently, I'm working as a lecturer in Taylor's University. And before this, I was working in UOW Malaysia, KDU University College. And apart from academician journey, I also doing some consultancy in engineering as well. I was supporting IC International Sundrian Berhad as an MNV engineer, and Aru Setia Sundrian Berhad and Smart Optimization as an energy consultant. And other than that, I also holding some professional certificates. So why I'm showing this, because later I'm going to explain to you guys. So what are the steps to get this kind of a professional certificate while doing your postgraduate study, right? So let us begin. Right. So for today's topic, I'm going to cover three important outline, which is first I will start with self-reflection. So what I'm going to cover here is basically we wanted to know who we are, what is our strength, what is our weakness. Okay, this is something very important. Why I call it very important, because if let's say you don't know who you are, okay, I'm not talking in term of, okay, I'm Nagin, yes, I know I'm Nagin, but I got my own traits, I got my own uniqueness, and similarly each and every one of you, right, will having your own uniqueness, own traits. So first of all, we need to identify that, right? And second, I'm going to share about my postgraduate research journey. What are the challenges I faced, and what are the tips and tricks? I was having a dream. Okay, I wanted to continue my master. I wanted to continue my PhD in overseas. I wanted to experience. So, how's the overseas experience in doing postgraduate research, right? But what I face is start with failure, right? So most of the public university, so they have freeze actually. Okay, they have freeze the young lecturer scheme. So what I did, I never give up. I tried to apply directly to some overseas university, and I was offered few position as a research student. So, but I have to reject it because that time there was no financial support. I mean, the university which offered me the postgraduate course, which is PhD, so they said they are not sure whether they can support me financially or not. So it will be decided one one I joined and start my postgraduate study, right? Then I was offered in one is in UK and one is in New Zealand. But then I think again, is it right decision? I just grab that opportunity and go there. But something make me like, okay, maybe you can wait another few more years and see, maybe the young lecturer scheme might reopen again, so that I can apply and I can go overseas and study, right? Then what I try to do, rather than just waiting, so I try to apply lecturer position in private institution, right? Because that time, if let's say with master you wanted to be a lecturer in public university, it is very difficult. So the minimum requirement to get a lecturer job in a public university, you need to have at least PhD, right? Minimum requirement. So that time I was only having master. Okay, I was only having master. So most of the public university which I tried to apply, so we are basically rejected, right? Basically rejected. So everything start from the rejection. Then I successfully get a lecture position in one of the private institution in Malaysia. Okay, and later I will explain how did I get the lecture position in one of the private institute. Okay, I will explain. It is something to do with your research output as well, right? Okay, then when I was working as lecturer, I was thinking, if let's say we compare private universities and public universities, I'm talking about a normal private. Can't do my PhD in overseas, so I need to do something. So what I'm going to do? So when I think that, so first thing clicked in my mind is I wanted to do professional engineer. So to do professional engineer, definitely we need industry experience. But I was a lecturer, so how to get the industrial experience? So I was looking for few companies, and finally I got an attachment in one of the company, which is it is something related to energy saving, energy management, right? And that time I was interested in that field because looking at the our nation's goal, so it was targeting on energy saving and all this. So that time I decided that okay, I wanted to be in such an industry, right? Then March 2018, so I registered my PhD in UTHM. So what made me register my PhD in UTHM again? So initially after my master, I was thinking okay, I was now 2 years in UTHM. So I already here for so long. Then I'm not sure whether I wanted to do my PhD in UTHM again or not. But thanks to my supervisor, I mean, he was my master supervisor, and because of him, I come back to UTHM again. Because of him, because basically we wanted to continue a project that something related to my master. So because he is the main reason I come back to UTHM again, right? And that time he was under faculty, I mean FTK, right? Under Faculty of Engineering Technology. So I registered under FTK, right? So that time I was doing my PhD, and I was working as lecturer, and also I was doing my attachment. And we need to sit for examination, and we need at least 2 years of experience as well, right? And I go through one by one, and finally I completed my PhD, which is December 2020, which is my Viva, right? My Viva was December 2020, and I was doing my PhD part-time. But it took me from the start until my Viva, it took me 2 years 7 months. Yeah, 2 years 7 months, right? So later I will explain also. So what steps I followed to complete my PhD in part-time. I mean my part-time PhD in 2 years 7 months, right? And apart from my PhD, I also finally got my professional engineer title, right? So means I started this entire thing in age of 27, and I completed early 31, right? I mean this year. Okay, so this is basically my 3.5 years of journey, right? So why I'm sharing this, because uh, basically I wanted to give a hope to you guys that nothing is impossible. The only thing we need to do is we need to identify certain thing in our life. We need to plan things properly, and we just need to keep on working towards our goal, right? Then, and I mentioned self-reflection, right? So my self-reflection, yeah, always we do that, right? Always we do that when we are alone, we thinking, okay, what I'm going to do and all this. But as I mentioned just now, after my master, and I wanted to apply PhD in overseas, so I didn't get any offer. I mean, I cannot apply for the young lecturer scheme, so most of the time was rejected. So I was, to be honest, I was really down. And because that time I was thinking, okay, I wanted to do my PhD. I wanted to be an academician. So if let's say you wanted to be an academician, definitely you need a PhD, right? You need a PhD. So if let's say you don't get a proper opportunity to continue, so that time I was really down, right? Then at one point of my life, which is during that period, so I sit and I did some self reflection in terms of who am I, and what is my strength and what is my weakness, right? So self reflection means it's basically, it's, we call it as introspection. Introspection means I I wanted to know more about myself, which is I observe, right? Who am I in a deeper sense, right? Then when we do this self reflection, we will doing self evaluation. So doing self evaluation means in what aspect I can improve myself more, right? So everyone, definitely we got some room for improvement, right? So when we do the self reflection, we will identify that, right? Later or sooner, definitely we will be identifying that, right? Then we know where to improve and what to do, right? And also we will start to believe ourselves more, right? We will get confident. We will get confident in terms of, yes, let's say I wanted to do that. Yeah, I know. I definitely I wanted to go for that. So we can confidently can make the decision, right? For example, you see, we will know our inner world by doing the self-reflection. So we'll get some guidance, and also this will leads to clarity. Let's say I have a plan. Okay, I wanted to do PhD together with my IR, right? So I have a clarity. I'm not sure whether it will work or not, but I believe that somehow I will make it work, right? Somehow I will make things happen, right? So here we will asking a lot of question. Well, I mean, a lot of question in term of, even though we know who is ourselves, but there's always something we mislook in term of, we don't really realize what is our strength and what is our weakness, right? So what I realized in my self reflection is during my university time, which is, I mean, from diploma until my master. So actually I was good at something, which until I'm doing self reflection, I didn't notice that, right? So after self reflection, I started to, okay, actually what I'm good at. So I was good at multitasking because during my degree, I mean my bachelor degree, and even during my master, I was I was studies, yeah, studies, definitely education and studies. Apart from that, I was actively involved in programs, societies. I was advisor for few societies, and I was thinking, uh, actually, one of my strength is I'm a multitasker. So why not? I started to embrace it, right? So that's what I did, and then things automatically happen. I started to plan, things automatically happen, right? And of course there's hiccups and some challenges. It's all about how we overcome that, right? So end of the day, by doing self reflection, what we will be getting is, we will be having aligned values and goals, right? We will basically we be able to identify, so what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do. If let's say it fails, what are the action plans, right? So I've always asked myself, right? So even until today, I'll ask, where am I now, right? Right. I'm not asking where am I physically, where am I now in physically, I mean in what position, in what this, right? So where am I now? And before 3 years, right? Before, I mean, before this, 3 years back, what I was doing, is it any improvement or not? So you guys need to do same thing. You guys need to do some self reflection. What are you what are you guys doing now, and before 3 years, what you guys are doing, right? Is it any improvement, your graph going in this trend, or just this trend, no any improvement, or this trend, this is very bad, okay, please make sure your graph is always this trend. And also we should have some plans, right? Maybe it is proper to call it as some vision. We should have some vision, right? So what I want to do and where I want to be in future. All right. So vision means sometimes it not necessarily happen, right? But we should have a vision, right? We should have a vision. So that's why, if let's say you guys see any corporate companies, or even whatever company you guys take, the first thing they decide, what is the mission and vision. So you should have a vision. So based on the vision, you will be having your own mission, right? So similarly, we should have our vision. When we have a vision, then we can come up with what are the missions to achieve our vision, right? Then the most important thing is, what are my strengths and weaknesses. You guys need to identify. Okay, each of us are unique in our own way, right? So what I have, you might not have. What you have, I might not have, right? So of course we are aware what is our strength and weakness, but what I'm trying to say here is, we need to do some in-depth analysis in terms of self-reflection, right? Then you will identify. Maybe you are the person who a well planner, you can plan things really good, right? You can plan things really good, okay? Then you know what is your strength and how to incorporate your strength in your postgraduate journey, right? So it's just connecting things, right? You know who you are and you just need to connect it. And this is the important question you should ask yourself: what makes me different from others, right? As I mentioned, each and every one of us is unique in our own way. So what makes us different from others? definitely you got your own uniqueness, right? So it applies to everyone, right? So then once we ask all these questions, then let us plan our journey. Let's energize. Okay, it can be any journey, your research journey, your professional journey, it can be any journey, right? But if let's say we able to do self-reflection, we will be have some focused path. Okay, we will be having some focused path, right? So in my journey, right? So what I'm trying to share with you guys, it's entirely from what I have practiced, right? What I have practiced. So it is not from someone. It is what I have practiced and what I have experienced, right? So these are the important skills that I followed. The Fantastic Four. I call it the Fantastic Four. Right. So first of all, we should learn to be independent, especially when it comes to research. Right. So you guys are once you started your master and PhD. Right. So most of the time you will be doing independent research work. Right. So we should be autonomous. So autonomous means we should we are not depending on others significantly, right? We are not depending on others significantly, right? But anyhow, we still need some people's input here, maybe from your supervisor, or it can be your mentor. Definitely we need some input, but most of the time we will be working independently, right? So that's why we connect back to what I said just now. The vision is very important. Without vision, being independent is really risky, right? So your path might be channeled to different way, right? So when you have the vision, then you can able to work autonomous. And also initiative, right? You always motivate yourself, right? And believe me, in research journey, right, in research journey, so our graph will be, initially it will be when you register your PhD or master, it will be like top. Then after that it will slowly drop, right? So every time it drops, you need to do something to bring it back to this position again. How you are going to do, it's depend on each and every one of you, right? So we always have that self motivation. So self motivation leads you to progress continuously, right, to accomplish your goals. Then risk taking. So talking about the professional certificate, yeah, of course, we are just doing postgraduate study. It can be master, it can be PhD, but is it just getting my PhD or master itself is sufficient? Definitely not, especially during uh, this era, right? So you can see most of them having PhD, most of them having master. So what make you difference? Okay, what make you difference? What are the added values in yourself, right? So you need to figure out that, right? And always take risk, right? Always take risk, but calculated risk, right? You know, if let's say you fail, right? You fail, then you can start over, right? You're going to you're not going to lose anything, right? So always dare to be different. If let's say others doing just PhD, just master, maybe you wanted to do PhD and master while you wanted to do industry attachment, maybe your topic related to industry attachment. So at the same time, you can acquire some industry experience as well, right? So that's how we take risk. So taking risk, you always should come out from your comfortable zone, right? It's not about, okay, I wanted to complete my master, I wanted to complete my PhD, okay, that's it, I'm done, right? Then job will come and find me. If let's say you have such a thinking, so please reboot it, because now the thing is totally different outside there, right? So I'll explain that shortly. I got slides for that as well. Then sociability. So this is more to work-life balance, right? So of course, work is important. So every one of us, we need to work, right? We need to work, right? And of course, we need to have a balance life as well. Balance life in terms of work-life balance, right? So my own experience. So normally, what I do, how I practice. So let's say weekly, I got 7 days, right? So most of the time, I will be busy working. I will be busy doing research, but only one day I won't touch any work, right? That's the time for myself. So I will be go out. I'll be go for movies. I'll go for bike ride, yeah, and many things, right? So this one day I won't touch any work. This is my day, right? And also, as I mentioned just now, when I reflect myself earlier, I told you, right? So I realize one more thing. I'm doing good work when I do last minute work, but believe me, it's not applicable for everyone. So that's why I ask you. Do your self reflect. You will identify a few things that you guys normally missed, right? So I can work efficiently if I do last minute work, right? Compared to I plan. Yeah, of course we need a plan, right? Of course we need a plan, but the plan is there, but I cannot be working on something that I cannot start that too early, okay? But not too late as well, okay? And yeah, so that's what I identify when doing self-reflection, okay? So talking about the postgraduate research, which our second topic. So here I'm going to share how was my postgraduate journey and what I practiced, right? So talking, if let's say we talk postgraduate, so I believe that most of you are research student, right? So if let's say just maybe some of you are coursework student, but anyway, like at the last final year or final semester, you guys still need to embrace this research as your final year project, right? So let's say talking about research, what is it? It's basically original contribution of knowledge, right? You're doing something, I mean, you're contributing something which is not there, right? Something which is not there. You're just adding value in that particular research interest, right? And also talking about the postgraduate graduate research, so we should be analytical. We should have analytical thinking, and we should be able to justify it. So why this is very important? Because end of the day, if let's say you guys doing some research, right? So end of the day, you guys will be getting results, right? So research are results oriented, and how you guys going to justify your result? So sometimes, believe me, sometimes some results are not as what you expected, but anyway, you need to justify it. You need to relate that relate that with fundamental, right? So everything follows fundamental, right? If we first thing first, you need to get your fundamental correct, right? Then you justify accordingly, right? If let's say normally, for example, normally a result should follow this trend, but unfortunately your research showing a different trend, there should be some reason, right? There should be some reason. You should be able to justify it, right? And apart from that, I believe that in UTHM for PhD, the graduate on time PhD is 3 years and master is 1.5 years, and most of the public university, yes, 3 years and 1.5 years. And if let's say you ask me how difficult to GOT, right, graduate on time, for let's say you ask me, I will say it's not really difficult, because if let's say I'm doing my PhD part time and I able to complete it in 3 years, just imagine you guys doing full time, right? So your full focus is that, then definitely it is achievable. It is achievable, but only thing which challenges here is how we plan that and how we uh, come on from the hiccups, right? Believe me, research journey is, it's not a smooth sailing, right? It's not a smooth sailing. It always give you surprises, right? Sometimes after 1 year, it suddenly will give you some surprise, which you need to reboot, right? You need to do a rebootal in your objective or something like that, right? So what I'm trying to say here is GOT is achievable, just that you need to follow a few steps, right? So talking about the selecting a postgraduate topic, so most of you already selected, but what type of solid what type of topic is suitable for us? First of all, you need to decide, okay, actually why I'm doing PhD or master, why I have to do. Is it just for, okay, I wanted to get doctorate, okay, in front of my name, I just wanted to get doctor. Why? Because maybe my girlfriend, she feel proud when I have doctor in front of my name. Okay, I'm just kidding, by the way. All right, so first of all, you need to identify why actually I'll continue a postgraduate study. There should be some reason, right? So maybe you plan to become an academician, or maybe even though you are in industry, or even though maybe other reason for that, right? So first of all, you need to clear why I need postgraduate study, why I'm doing that, right? And this is very important. Your postgraduate studies should be based on your interests, right? Even though sometimes the topics come from supervisor, but you should have interest on it. If let's say no interest, then definitely uh, your self motivation will be always going down the graph, right? You should have interest, right? You should have always a feeling that, okay, this is something that challenged me, I wanted to overcome, right? So believe me, research postgraduate study or research are really challenging. Okay, so you should have an interest, you should love with your research. Okay, you should love with your research, then only you can able to complete it on time. Okay, and also make sure your supervisor cares about your research, right? Supervisor cares about research, by the way. Yeah, supervisors, they care because they got their KPI as well, right? So they will lead you in a way that they want you to complete your research, right? So definitely your supervisor care about. But what if your supervisor don't care about your research? Then that's something gives you a question mark, right? So if let's say you show maybe 75% interest in your research, your supervisor at least must show 25% of interest, right? So this is basically, it's a collaboration work, right? It is a teamwork. Without supervisor you can't progress, and without you, your supervisor cannot complete that particular project. Yeah, because your supervisor is already busy in other things, right? Academician work is, it involves a lot of things, right? It's not only research, teaching and learning, consultancy, right? So sometimes we don't even have a proper job description for the supervisor or lecturers, right? Sometimes work just come like that. Sometimes you need to involve in admin work, sometimes you need to do programs, a lot of works, right? So please make sure your supervisor cares about your research. But how are you going to make sure that? By you are showing right, first of all you should show that, okay, I have proper initiative on my research, right? If let's say you are not showing proper initiative and you're all the time you are being lazy, definitely your supervisor won't be care about your research as well, because you are the important person, because it's your research. Please remember that it's your research, right? And my one more personal advice is try to focus on a research topic which is not too immature and not too mature. It should be in between, right? Why not too immature? Because if let's say the research topic is too immature, means you guys will be having some difficulties to get proper reference, right? So try to avoid a research that is not really immature. Okay, and also don't focus on the research is too mature in terms of most of the contribution in that particular area is saturated, right? Most of the uh, I mean, in terms of knowledge contribution is saturated. So how you going to identify what is your novelty, right? What is your novelty? It's very difficult, right? And on top of that, look for a niche. So niche is which is novelty, right? And how can your research can make some difference, or can do some knowledge contribution? You need to focus on that, right? And postgraduate myth, right? So this is something I wanted to always explain to even some of my students, and I always wanted to explain to you guys as well, right? I'm happy to explain because initially I was, when I started my master, right? And when I started my master, I was thinking, wow, I'm doing my research. I feel like I'm a great scientist, right? I'm a great scientist. I normally tell people, hey, I'm doing research. But then along the journey, I believe that the more you go in depth in the knowledge, right, you will understand that actually you don't know many things, right? You don't know many things. You just imagine, right? Like for during your high school, we study physics, chemistry, right? We study very generally. That time we might think, okay, I know physics, I know chemistry, I know biology, I know maths. Most of the thing I covered already, right? Then from here we are just going into a certain area. Maybe it can be engineering, it can be management, it can be technology related course, right? From this entire big uh, set, you're going into a subset, which is your maybe bachelor degree. Then when it comes to postgraduate, you even go detail in depth, especially research, right? Then you just imagine, in this small thing you can do that depth of research. So how about these things all, right? The more we I mean, the more we identify this, right? So the knowledge is very wide. The knowledge is very wide. The more we identify this, then we will automatically we will have some humbleness in ourselves, right? There's a long way for us to go, right? So I believe most of you already have this feeling, right? In your PhD or master topic yourself, you see how's the depth, how about the unexplored topic here, right? So this is what made me to think. So most of the time what we are thinking about postgraduate, or I mean PhD or master, it's basically it's a myth, right? So always people thinking that to do a PhD or to do a postgraduate study, you should be a genius, right? You should be a genius. Only a genius can complete until PhD, right? Let's you ask me, that's something we should change people's perception. That's something not true, right? And actually, we don't have to be genius. We don't have to be intelligent to do postgraduate. So what we need is just some diligence, right? Diligence means we continuously working on something. It is some hard work involved, right? So if let's say you're able to do that, this will automatically come to you, right? So if let's say you feel that maybe your bachelor degree grades is not good, right? You're not first class. No worries, no worries. There's always room for improvement. Believe me, my diploma is just 3 point or something, right? And my degree just 3.3 something, right? I was an average student, but I started to focus on my study seriously, right? Okay, I'm not telling you guys don't have to focus, right? I mean, mistake I did, then how I correct it. So I started to focus on my bachelor degree, which is when I'm doing my FIP, right, the final semester. So I was really focused, and my final year, it's the pointer, I got 3.7 and above, right? But my first year, second year, I just maintained 3 point or something, right? So that's why I'm trying to tell you guys, you don't have to be a genius to do your postgraduate study, right? All you need is just some hard work, right? All you need is some continuous work. All you need is some ability that never give up, right? And please avoid this. This is the best masterpiece. No such thing, right? So let's say you guys notice, of course your thesis is masterpiece for you, but not others, right? So most of the time, where are these thesis, it's in library, right? So always think your thesis is a learning process. That's all. You learn something new, right? So when we think, okay, my thesis is a masterpiece, what we need, what normally we ended up, we will be doing some perfection work. I wanted to get my thesis perfectly good, which time consuming, right? So uh, it doesn't have to be perfect. As long as it follows the actual criteria, it should be okay. So take this, it's a learning process. It's not a masterpiece, it's a learning process. Maybe one fine day, right? Maybe one fine day you will produce something that is your own masterpiece, believe me, right? Then we also will be thinking, right, most of when we register research, we will be thinking my research is going to change the world, right? Right, my research is going to change the world, right? So this thinking will made us again, it will made us or it will make us to look for some perfection. So I'm not happy with this, right? So of course you need quality results, and of course the quality should be there. But if let's say your research can change the world, then it's good. But not all the research change the world. I mean, not immediately. Maybe it might take some time, right? So please keep in mind, not all the research will change the world, right? So always think, if let's say we are doing a research in term of, it can be master project, it can be PhD project, it's a time bound project, right? For example, your bachelor degree, why you did 3 years? If let's say you want, you can extend up to 5 years, right? You can do it relax, right? Maybe that particular semester you just take 2 subject, 3 subject, you can focus more, right? But why 3 years? Because you don't have choice, you have to. Similarly, if let's say you decided that, okay, my master or PhD, right, it's a time bound project, okay, it's a time bound project, then you will complete. You should have your own action plans, you should have your own timeline, and you need to work accordingly, right? And also, please think, it's not to win a Nobel Prize, right? There's already many people who are I mean in research for years working on that. So for now, what you guys have to focus, right? It's a time bound project. What you guys need to do, get a quality results, right? Quality results, okay, and complete on time, okay. Then, okay, before I go to this, maybe I wanted to make this session a bit engaging, right? So let me and show. So maybe I will share something in in our chat. So you guys just need to answer this, right? Maybe let me copy this link. Okay, and I will be posting in the chat. So hope you guys can answer. You just provide me two answers, right? So back to here, just click this and you answer it. Okay, so what are the main challenges you're facing in postgraduate research? Just type 2, right? Then later we can discuss that. Okay, so you just need to click the link, right? You just need to click the link and you can type it. So can you guys give a try? So later we see what are the actual challenges you guys feel. Okay, let us see the results. So others, please just type your answers. Yeah, only two. How about others? So you can see the code here. You just put the code and you can type your answer. So maybe we wait for 2 more minutes. If let's say once done, then we can proceed with our discussion. Yeah. That session is limited. Friend speaking, mental health declining. Sessions limited. Okay, so we can discuss this further, right? So surrounding, so laboratory work, I believe that after this it will be okay because we are slowly back to normal life. Data. Yes, lazy, I agree, totally I agree. So most of the time we need to get a good mood to do our research, especially writing. I totally agree with you. Right. So basically, in this app, which phone is bigger is that's the what we call the main challenges faced by the research student. So slow writing, yeah. Lazy and slow writing still on top of the list. Okay, maybe another few more seconds, then we will stop this and we continue. Time. Okay, I will cover that shortly about time and about writing as well. Okay, maybe I think we can stop here. Let us. I just wanted to know what you guys feel as the main challenge during your postgraduate research. Lazy and time. Lazy and time. Yeah. Okay, so maybe we can stop here. So let us back to our discussion, right? So okay. So biggest struggles, right? Biggest struggles or biggest challenge in PhD. So first of all, most of the time we'll be facing isolation and also stress. Believe me, because definitely it's our PhD project or our master project, right? Our own project. Then most of the time we will be keep on thinking on that. So we will be ended up as like self isolation, isolation and stress, right? So this is why just now I mentioned you need a day or you need some time for you guys, right? We need work-life balance. We can able to overcome this. Then stress, right? So stress, you need to identify what causes you stress. Is it pressure from supervisor, right? If let's say your supervisor is pressuring you, believe me, that's good sign. You will complete your research on time. Believe me, right? I faced this throughout my, I mean, since my FIP, my master. So my supervisor always pressure me, right? But it should be a good positive pressure, right? Then funding issue. So funding issue. So if let's say you ask me how to overcome this, right? How to overcome this? So my answer is very subjective. Maybe I will share in my point of view. So I faced this problem during my master. Okay, during my masters I was I mean graduate research assistant, right? GRA, right? But my grant is only support for 1 year. Then after that I need to come out with my own money. So what I did, right? What I did, I was supporting my supervisor in a different research. So that time I was doing three research. One is my master research. Second one is I was supporting my supervisor on one of the industry project. This was my part-time research, which monthly I got monthly allowance for this. And third one, I was supporting my co-supervisor on some, we call it a community-based research, right? So I didn't see this as a pressure for me. What I see, it was a learning curve for me. I will tell later why I see this as a learning curve, right? So this is something related how I able to secure a job after my master, right? It was a learning curve for me. So I completed my PhD, I completed my master, and at the same time, I got some new knowledge from here. So means I got new research interest as well. So let's say you ask me how to solve the funding issue, right? So this is your project. You need to complete it, and you need to find proper funding. If let's say the funding is not available, you need to do something, right? So you already started. Definitely, we are not going to stop halfway, right? So, and also we cannot depend on something. I mean, we cannot depend. My supervisor will help me. Yeah, if let's say there is an opportunity to help, definitely they will help. But we always cannot depend on them. We need to find some way to solve it. We need to come from our comfort zone. Even some of my friends, right? Some of my friends during my postgraduate journey, right? So their grant is, I mean, it's already only for 1 year or 1 year 6 months. Then after that, they don't get any financial support. So they was working part time in cinemas, right? So you need to figure out, right? So always keep in mind that your whatever you start, you need to complete it. So please do all it takes to complete it, right? Then conflict with supervisor. This is very, very dangerous, right? Very, very dangerous, right? So please have a good relationship with your supervisor, right? Have a good relationship with your supervisor, right? If let's say you have a conflict, please solve it, right? I believe that most of the supervisor, they willing to listen to you, right? Sometimes maybe your supervisor want you to follow their way. Doesn't matter, just follow, right? End of the day, your goal is you need to complete your postgraduate study, right? But believe me, if let's say your supervisor is pressuring you, that's actually good. Don't take that in negative way. It is actually good, right? So when your supervisor pressure you to on some task, so your research is actually progressing. Then time management, right? Time management. So this solely depend on you, right? How you manage your time, right? Everyone have 24 hours. You also having 24 hours, but how are you going to manage your time? So this is where just now my first topic I covered, self-reflection. So when you do self-reflection, you will identify certain strength of you, which can be related to this as well, time management, right? Then lack of personal support. So lack of personal support means sometimes your family, maybe some of you already married, right? So maybe there's lack of personal support from your partner, because if let's say you're married, definitely you got a family commitment as well, right? So sometimes your partner might fed up because always he is the one who taking care of the family, and meanwhile you are focusing on your research. Okay, so this is very it can be overcome. Actually, it can be overcome by proper discussion, support each other, take turns, something like that, right? So lack of personal support, I mean, personal support is very, very important. If, let's say, you ask me, most of the married couple who doing their postgraduate research or postgraduate study, so their backbone is their partners. Okay, you can check with your supervisors, let's say during their PhD time or during their master time, their family or their partners are their backbone, right? And too much concern about future. So when we are doing PhD, or when we are doing our master, we will think, okay, where I'm going to end up. Because why, let's say you compare with your friends, right? After their, especially in engineering and technology related field, right? So after their first degree, right? First degree, they already started to work as an engineer. Meanwhile, here we are doing our PhD or postgraduate, right? So in term of experience, they are a step in front of us, right? But let's say again, you wanted to go to industry, of course, they will look someone having more experience, right? So that's one of the reason which makes most of the postgraduate student worry. So basically what we are doing here, we are gambling our time. But since you are gambling your time, so please make sure that your time is not wasted. You need to GOT, graduate on time. We don't know, we don't have much time. We need to complete our research on time. And if, let's say, you wanted to go back to industry again, go back and start to get experience. If, let's say, you wanted to be academician, study it, right? So you just don't have to sit and worry about your future lot, right? You just think on action plan, what we need to do, how we are going to do that. That is sufficient, right? You're just sitting and worrying doesn't going to make any changes, and definitely it's not going to help us, right? And yeah, so I'm going to cover on this managing supervisor, right? So this is very important. Your relationship with your supervisor is very, very important. Okay, your relationship with your supervisor is very, very important. And all the research success is depend on this. Let's say your supervisor is not happy, believe me, you cannot complete your PhD or you cannot complete your master, right? So basically what the supervisor expect, you want you to work independently, right? You don't have to always wait for his input. Sometimes you need to start the work, and if, let's say, you're stuck, then look for him, right? So as as I always say, we don't need a spoon feed in research, right? We don't need a spoon feed in research, right? You need to be able to work independently and make sure you always produce a quality work. Because you see, for example, when you are going a conference, or when you are presenting your research outcomes, it can be YOA. So basically, you are representing your supervisor, right? So basically you are bringing your supervisor's name together with you, right? So maybe in your thesis itself, we are having your supervisor name, right? So when we are dealing with external examiner, right? So definitely your supervisor name is, you are accountable for that, right? You are accountable for that. So make sure you produce a quality work, don't give lousy work, so which makes in a way that your supervisor not supervise you in a good way, right? And also, please be honest with your supervisor. If you have a problem, just tell him, right? Please be honest, right? So most of the time, which I notice most of the time, what will happen, students, like, they'll be lazy when supervisor ask, okay, I completed, but it will be some last minute work which don't carries the quality of such a work, right? So we should be honest. If, let's say, you have a problem, you're unable to do that, just communicate. Communication is very, very important. Communicate with your supervisor. Tell him, sir, or doctor, I cannot complete this due to some problems, so maybe I will work on that in near future, something like that. Keep communicating, right? And what are the tips and tricks, right? What are the tips and tricks? First, avoid miscommunication with your supervisor, right? So that's why I said communication is very important, right? Don't let your supervisor think something bad about you, in term of, like, if, let's say, you're not honest, definitely your supervisor will have a bad perception on you. You don't want that. So avoid miscommunication, right? So be honest, polite, and show some respect to your supervisor, right? This is very important. Show some respect to your supervisor, right? So of course, is someone who you can rely on, right? Rely on in term of, let's say, you're stuck in something, definitely your supervisor going to help you, right? So show some respect. So always be low profile with your supervisor. Okay, don't challenge your supervisor, right? Don't challenge your supervisor. Even though sometimes your supervisor is wrong, tell in a good way. Don't challenge your supervisor, right? Then always update your supervisor. What you learning and what you learned. For example, sometimes you just review some papers, just update him. And apart from that, always teach them something new, right? Because when you are undertaking a research, okay, your master or PhD research, you are the only expert, right? Your supervisor is just is advisor. You are the expert in your research, right? So sometimes I mean, in detail about your research. So sometimes you need to educate your supervisor, right? So teach him something new. He will be excited. Believe me, your supervisor will be excited. He or she, they will be excited, right? This is one of the way to show that you are really taking the initiative to progress in your research, right? And managing time, just now most of you have commented, right? So time management or time is one of the challenge, right? So how to solve this? Embrace your research issue, just focus on your research, right? So just focus on the research issue, right? And if let's say even you are doing some study, just uh, be selective and be specific, right? Be selective and be specific, right? And then plan. It's very important. For example, you wanted to publish something, you need to plan what conference you are going to attend, what journal, you need to plan. Okay. And your plan can be yearly, monthly, weekly, or daily, right? So it's up to you. It's discussion between you and your supervisor. And breaking goals into specific tasks, right? So you need to make it like a batch work, right? Batch work. Maybe you are having your postgraduate work, then you maybe one is publication, maybe you wanted to start writing literature review, you need to break it, right? I'm advising you to break it. Sometimes, believe me, you will be working simultaneously, right? You will be working simultaneously while writing your thesis. You will be writing your publication. You will be writing your article, right? While doing research, yeah, sometimes we will be doing simultaneous work. But if let's say you are not put it in a batch work, it is really difficult to do simultaneous work. Even not only postgraduate study, if let's say you're doing some other maybe, as I mentioned, some certification, you need to put it in a way that the work is arranged in a batch, so that you can focus accordingly. And also constantly prioritize. So which need to settle first, which need to solve first, go for it first. Even though you might start maybe 10 works at a time, but the ending should be according to priority, right? Then lot to read, of course, yeah. Let's say talking about research, you need to read lot, but how lot you're going to read, right? So when it comes to reading, be selective. You don't have to read everything. Be selective, right? As I mentioned just now, be specific. Just focus on relevant topics or relevant articles to your journal. So be selective means mostly focus on the top author or top journal, because the result is more reliable compared to just a very normal conference paper. But I'm not asking you not to refer. Yeah, yes, you can refer the conference paper, but in terms of reliability of the results, yeah, go to top author or top journal, right? And read critically. So read critically means you should read in depth. You do some analysis, right? You maybe it's somehow related to your study. How he get that kind of result, how he got that kind of results, and why my result is different. You need to do some critical comparison, right? And also, let's say you are doing a reading, always summarize or highlight, right? Let's say you are not the type of person always writing something, no worries, right? We got PDF, just highlight in PDF, right? Always what we call the key points, the important points. So please highlight it, right? Because later on, when it comes to writing thesis, you might refer back again, right? That time, believe me, it's very difficult to find where you left. So better do some marks, highlight it, right? And other than reading, you also have to focus. If let's say you're reading a journal, you're reading an article, right? So you need to focus not only the content, you need to focus on how they write the journal, how they write the article, writing style, reference style, statistic, grammar, all this you need to focus. Why? Because later on you might be published in that same journal. That time you're already familiar with all these terms, writing style. So it will be very easy and very time saving for you guys. Okay, so you need to really focus. Other than reading, you need to focus other aspect of it as well, right? Then what are the problem with writing? So some of you just now, you guys mentioned that writing, yes, believe me, writing is really a boring task, right? You need to sit for so long, and you need to write the same sentence 10 times, 12 times, or more than, sometimes more than 20 times, so it's really a time consuming work. But how are we going to overcome, right? So that's why I mentioned writing style, referencing style, statistic, grammar. So this will help us to write properly, right? And please make sure writing, it's a routine activity. Okay, writing is a routine activity. It's not like you need to complete your research then you start writing. Let's say you are doing that, believe me, you're unable to got, right? It should be happen parallelly, right? It should happen parallelly. Then don't separate research time from writing time. This is what I meant just now. It should happen parallelly, right? And of course writing is difficult. Okay, it's not easy, right? So maybe some of us not really good in English. No worries, no worries, it's about practice. Maybe we should refer to some academic phrase bank, how to write. Believe me, I practice in that way, right? Actually my English is not bad, okay, not bad, but at the same time, let's say you're good in English doesn't mean you are good in technical writing as well. Research output are technical writing. It doesn't mean you are good in technical writing as well, right? So you need to practice technical writing. So you need to be very concise, very in detail, right? Technical writing, it should be straight to the point, right? I mean detail in term of, you directly, I mean, for example, you're having a result, so you need to explain, you need to justify it, right? So I will agree with this. Writing is difficult, but believe me, if let's say you keep on practicing, it will be easy, right? And keep practicing. The actual writing is rewriting. So what I mean by actual writing is rewriting. So when you have your first draft, your supervisor check. So you can see all the red marks there. He will ask you guys to revamp. He ask you guys to maybe revise it accordingly, right? So when that thing happen, please don't give up, right? That's a good thing. Your supervisor take time to check word by word, sentence by sentence. That's a good thing. So I appreciate that, right? So actual writing is rewriting. So we learn from mistakes. We learn from mistake, and make sure your research writing is having clarity. It should have a flow, right? It should have a flow. Then always learn from mistake. Okay, always learn from mistake. Doing mistake, it's not a big deal, but doing the same mistake again and again is a big deal, right? So always learn from mistake, right? And always keep up the progress, right? Keep up the progress, right? You need to, as I mentioned just now, your graph should be always in this manner, right? It should be always uh, clarifying that, okay, this particular student is progressing, right? So how we measure the progress, not on the time. Even though I can complete my research in 2 years, 3 years, I don't call it progress. The actual progress in the output, is it I able to conclude the output in a given time? That's the actual progress, right? And also there is a no rules on how to like allocate time for research, right? So it depends. Maybe some of you, you feel good to work during early morning. Some of you, you are night owls, right? You are night owls, you only can work during night, right? So it depends on you. There's no rules and time for time allocation for research, right? But the only thing is your labs is normally open lab daytimes, right? So you need to comply that as well, right? So unless you are doing simulation, then no problem, you can work anytime, right? So it's depend on nature of your research, right? So always allocate time, right? Allocate time, but which you feels comfortable and which you feels productive, right? So maybe if let's say you ask me myself, uh, most of the time daytime I would like to relax, wait for the mood to write, okay? But when it comes to night, I'll be supercharged. Okay, I would like to work during night, right? So it's depend on each individual, right? So you need to identify that. Again, how? Just now I mentioned your self-reflection. That's how we identify it. And please do not waste your time, energy on problems, right? If let's say throughout your research journey, you're facing a problem, right? So don't waste time on it. Straight away find the solution. Let's say cannot find the solution, take the alternative step. Okay, don't waste your time and energy because it's just making you not progress any further. Okay, if let's say able to solve it quickly. If let's say unable to solve, go for plan B. So always have plan B, right? And But end of the day, your research output and research objective, it should be met, right? So do not compare your progress with others. Okay, this is very important. Okay, so don't compare your research. Maybe your friend is progressing pretty good, but your research is having some hiccups, right? So don't compare your research. The baseline is should come from you. Is it your research having progress or not? You just compare how was the research previously, and in what stage is the research. You need to look at that, right? So please don't compare with others, right? That's why I mentioned just now, each of us are unique. Each of us are unique, right? And the tips, one of the tips I can give you is frequently meet or update your supervisor. Let your supervisor know how is the progress of your research, so that he can give his input to make it progress it further, right? And always try to explain to your supervisor about your research, right? It's not about just show the document and sir or madam please check, doctor please check, right? So try to have some good engagement with your supervisor. So good exercise to explain about your research, right? When you're having a good engagement, that means most of the time you'll be talking about research, right? So it will be a good practice for you guys to explain about your research, which will be really helpful during your proposal defense, during your viva, and so on, right? And on top of that, right, on top of that, what I have practiced, always actively publishing. It can be publication, or it can be a copyright or IP, whatever it is, right? So please make sure that your research going on par, and this thing also should be going simultaneously, right? Because all of us having what we call it a requirement, right? If let's say you wanted to graduate, you need to do some publication, right? So let's say you're able to do research, definitely publication is not a big deal. It just comes from your research, right? So let's say you do early publication, right? Early publication, it definitely it's going to help you in your thesis. It will smoothen your writing thesis, right? It will smoothen your thesis writing journey, right? Then follow the scheduled colloquium, proposal, and defense. Okay, this is what I practice strictly, right? So when I was in FTK, right, I never missed the schedule, right? So normally, I'm thankful to, yeah, Dr. Azrin, Dr. Rice, Dr. Aimi, right? So I'm very thankful for them, because they always will be updating, since I'm working part time, right? I'm doing my research part time, so they will always keep in touch with me, they will always update me, right? So they will always email me, right? So when will be my proposal defense, when will be my colloquium, so that I can do a proper planning, right? So if let's say you don't follow this, then it will be really difficult to graduate on time, right? Whatever it takes, follow this strictly. Colloquium 1, if let's say you have colloquium 1, which is your proposal defense, right? And then progress, follow that, right? So in order to follow that, you need to make sure that your research is progressing. If let's say your research is not progressing, then definitely you are unable to follow this, right? So you have to make sure that your research is progressing well, right? And last but not least, always keep in your mind that you are the expert of your research. Nobody knows better than you, because this is your research. Nobody knows better than you. Others, they just can give some input. Even your supervisor, they just can give some input. But you are accountable for your research, and you are the expert of your research. Always have the confidence. Always have the confidence, right? You know about your research, right? But if let's say you don't do proper study, definitely you're not going to have the confidence, right? So how are you going to call yourself as expert if let's say you don't put enough effort for that, right? So when you want to claim yourself as expert, you need to put enough effort, right? Always make sure that you need to do, you need to know more about your research compared to your supervisor or your examiner, right? So normally your examiner, believe me, your examiner, the only thing they check is whether your research is fundamentally correct or not, whether it is logical or not. If let's say maybe there is some what we call some uncertainties or some uh, not normal things, but if let's say you're able to justify it, they're okay with it, they are okay with it, right? But make sure that you justify things, be very analytical, right? So I'm stressing this, which is you are the expert of your research. No one know better than you, right? No one know better than you, because this is your research, right? And I'm just wanted to share a few of my research pictures. So uh, even though like just now I mentioned I'm unable to do my PhD in overseas, but I got opportunity to collaborate with one of the university in Japan, Nagaoka University of Technology, and my research is basically it's a collaboration project, and I I went to Japan 2 times, and it was fully sponsored, and I was doing my research. So end of the day, I had the experience to do research in overseas, right? So this is not something that I didn't expect, but it comes along the journey, right? So sometimes things might not happen early, but make sure that you keep on going. When you keep on going, things will fall its place just like that. Just grab it and go on, right? And this is during my Viva. So due to the pandemic, I was uh, I was doing my what we call virtual Viva, which is, believe me, virtual Viva is more challenging compared to physical Viva, right? But so thank God I successfully completed with minor correction for 1 month. Yeah, 1 month minor correction I successfully completed, and yes, this is my thesis. Okay, this is my thesis, and also during my research, uh, I have attended few conference, and this is where I won a award on best paper presentation. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is, even though your research is going on, in the background you need to do some work, right? So if let's say you're publishing, make sure you come up with a quality paper, right? Quality paper. Why? Because end of the day, right, end of the day, what's your goal, what's your focus after your research? You wanted to, maybe you wanted to be academician, or you wanted to go into industry, right? So end of the day, it's all about what we can take from here, what we can put in our CV, right? So it's not about just a title, PhD or master. Apart from that, what are the extra things, right? So this word extra is a magical word. It always hold what we call um, some specialty in that, which is whatever you do extra, it will give you uh, something greater than normal thing, right? So please keep that in mind, and maybe another 10 to 15 minutes I will conclude my sharing session, right? So before I conclude that, last but not least, I wanted to highlight on professional certification, and why it is important for me to highlight this professional certification. Okay, believe me, maybe 20 years back, you can count the number of PhDs in Malaysia, even in the world. But now, most of them, I mean, most even we can see our friends in our circle. So many of us started to do PhD, right? But just with PhD or just with master, how you are going to compete with them, right? How you are going to compete with them? You should have something extra, like I mentioned just now. You need to have something extra. So what we can attain during our postgraduate journey, right? So I always like to share these quotes. It is not the strongest of the species that survive, not the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to changes, right? So responsive to changes, this is very important, right? Sometimes we should be different from the ordinary. So different from the ordinary, that's what people call extraordinary, right? We should be different, right? If let's say everyone just come out with PhD or master, right, when graduate, maybe you can come up with PhD plus with a certification, plus with maybe a professional course. So believe me, if let's say for example, I just give an example. If let's say you are doing a simulation based PhD, right? So during your PhD, you also can seek for certification of that particular software. I mean, I mean, most of the like SolidWorks, Abacus, ANSYS, they have their own professional certification. While doing this, you can do that as well, right? So end of the day, what we bring extra, that really matters, right? That really matters. End of the day, what we bring, really, I mean, the extra thing, right? That's what makes difference between you and others, right? So believe me, now the competition is really high, right? If possible, to try to focus on something which relate to industry 4.0, right? So you can do your PhD at the same time, that's good enough, right? And other than postgraduate journey, let us focus on this professional certification as well. Let's upgrade your play. It's not about you are doing the normal play, let's upgrade your play, right? So this is my experience. So how I able to complete 3.5 years PhD, IR, and all the titles I showed just now. So After my master, I able to secure full-time job. How I able to secure full-time job? Because during my master I was actively publishing. For my master I published 10 papers. Right? It definitely it is challenging. It was challenging, right? It was challenging, but the extra thing I did, it secure me a job. Right? It secure me a job. Right? So again, I'm advising you guys during your postgraduate journey, please give extra. Don't settle down with something very ordinary, something very normal, right? So my full-time job, which is I was lecturing, teaching, I need to do research, and also I need to do consultancy. As a lecturer, we need to focus on that, and also there is others, but I don't want to talk about that. I just wanted to touch this main thing. And I registered PhD, right? I registered PhD. So basically what I did is I just connect the dots, right? I just connect the dots, I identify it. So again, why I'm talking about this is something related to my self reflection. When I do my self reflection, I able to identify it, so where I can connect. So my research, so definitely I need to, as a lecturer, I need to show KPI in my institution, right? So I was registered for PhD, I was doing my PhD, right? Then it doesn't matter what research you do, so this research can be your KPI, so I connect this. Then when I joined work, right, so I got some networking, right? So then I started to do industry attachment, right? Even I got some networking from my PhD journey as well. I started to do industry attachment. So in industry I was doing I mean I was supporting a company as a measurement and verification engineer, right? MNV engineer. Then while working, I don't want to waste my experience. So I can use my experience to get professional certificate, because some of the professional certificate, it requires maybe 2 years of experience. I don't want to waste it. So I go for professional certificate. Right. So is it professional certificate is really necessary? If let's say you ask me, yes, it is, especially for this time being. Why? Because let's say people wanted to know me, right? So unless I explain to them in which area I'm expertise, they wouldn't know. But what makes them to give the first impression on me? I mean, the first impression that I'm giving them, all the professional certification, right? The titles, the professional certification. So it is very important. So what I'm trying to advise you guys, it should be in line. Your postgraduate journey, yes, please never neglect that, right? Never neglect that. Go on, but at the same time, whatever you can grab, right? For example, maybe your research requires industry industry attachment, so try to get official letter from industry, so that you can use that experience later on, right? Then the place I'm working, I need to do consultancy as well, so I connect this and this. So I was a energy manager, yeah, energy manager in my institute, and we won several awards in energy efficiency. So from where I get the knowledge, if let's say I'm just here, I wouldn't get. So I connected. It's about connecting dots. So this is my dots that I connected. But believe me, each and every one of you, you will be having your own dots. You need to connect that. You need to identify that and connect. Okay, it is doable, right? Nothing is impossible. It is doable, right? Then I just wanted to touch, since you guys in faculty of I mean FTK, right? FTK, Faculty of Engineering Technology. Maybe you guys can go for these professional technologies, right? But you might ask me, okay, I'm full-time student, how I'm going to go for this, right? Actually, I go for this before my working experience. Okay, for in order to become a professional technologist, you need 3 years of working experience. But believe me, your research assistant, right? Your research assistant, I mean, uh, your experience as a research assistant, it is counted here. You can use that. So I use my master research assistant experience to get my TS. I just top up extra 1 year of working. So please keep all the document accordingly. For example, you are maybe you are a GRA, or maybe you work under a grant. Keep that document, right? So maybe I will just go fast on this. Maybe right. So first of all, after your degree, right? After your degree, once you get your transcript, what you need to do? Register as a graduate technologist. You just need to pay 50 ringgit. Everything is online submission, right? Then after that, 3 years of experience. Yeah, 3 years of experience. If let's say you're having a research assistant experience, you can use it, right? You can use it. No worries, you can use it, right? Then let's say maybe you're working 2 years of research, I mean 2 years as a research assistant. So maybe you just need to top up 1 year industry attachment, find it somewhere. Or you can do the industry attachment as part of your research work as well, right? Then once you get 3 years of experience, you can sit for professional assessment. So this is conducted under MBOT. So for now it is online interview, right? So as long as you meet their criteria, so they got their own rubrics. So for now I don't want to go detail on this because maybe we can have a session in future, right? So as long as you meet these 3 years with proper criteria, then you can sit for professional assessment, right? So they will be asking some question which related to your work, your experience and all that. Then you can apply for professional technologies. Okay, so if let's say you pass this assessment, you will be granted professional technologies, right? So professional technology is one of the earliest title I got it, I mean, compared to other professional title, this is, for me, this can be done, right? Even if let's say a postgraduate student, this can be done. So just imagine yourself after your completion of your study, you wanted to out as just doctor, maybe your name, yeah, maybe Dr. A, or you wanted to out as TS doctor. That TS definitely brings some value, right? So this is what we call added value, right? So this is on professional technologies which holds TS title, right? And second, you can go for IR as well, but for IR definitely you need a engineering degree, right? Maybe some of you maybe started with engineering, right? But for time being, yes, if let's say your degree is not engineering accredited engineering degree, you can top up, right? You can top up with masters in engineering, right? But again, maybe after 2023, right? So this is not relevant anymore. So only the what we call the professionals who's having a engineering degree can go for IR, right? So I'm just giving you idea, maybe you can plan that, right? So following the IR route, right? Actually, there is a three route. So I will go as fast as I can, right? If let's say you've got question, maybe you can ask me later during Q&A session, right? So there is three route. One is go through BEM, IEM, right? So BEM, you need 3 years of experience, right? So for example, but this one, we need industry experience, right? Research assistant, yes, we can use it, but somehow we need significant industry experience. Okay, then if let's say you're going through PEM route, which is board of engineers, you need minimum 3 years relevant work experience. Okay, then only you can sit for the professional interview. If let's say maybe your working place, you don't have a professional engineer, so you can go through IEM route, which is Institute of Engineers Malaysia, right? You can go through this route, and you can go through the logbook scheme. So logbook scheme, now we call it as a ECD, engineering competency development. So there are few skills, right? Few skills, if not mistaken, 18 skills or 18 elements you need to show the evidence. Okay, 18 elements. So believe me, some of the evidence comes from your research. Sometimes the problem solving skills, there are a lot. Design can come from your research. So please take your research seriously, because sometimes you wouldn't know, you might use that same project when you're applying for professional certification, right? So this ECD, basically what we need to do, we need to find a professional engineer, IR, and we need to meet him frequently, maybe 3 months once. It's like he will be our supervisor. I mean, for master or PhD you got your supervisor, right? But for IR, he will be our supervisor, so we need to meet him frequently and get his signature, and we submit to IEM. Then again, we can go for professional interview, which is conducted by IEM. And one more route is chartered engineer. If let's say you are maybe you are having a chartered engineer title, which is maybe you might not local, yeah, you're not local. Maybe you get a Australian engineer, UK engineer. You still can apply for IR, but need to go through certain route. Okay, but today I don't want to cover that because I believe that most of you are from local, so I just cover this, right? Then once you've done your professional interview, so in order to eligible for this professional interview, you need to submit quite a lot of documents. You need to submit all the evidence, 3 years what you have collected. So paperwork is very important. Keep everything black and white. So you need to submit. Once you've done professional interview, you can, if let's say you go through IEM route, you can become IEM corporate member. or if let's say you go through BEM route, you can become a professional engineer. If let's say you're going to IEM route, right? So once you get this title, you can convert to IR, right? But the examination is almost similar, right? There will be professional interview and there will be some written exam, right? So which we call it as a competency exam, right? And then that's it. You can get it your professional engineer. Okay, and now they divide it into tier 1 and tier 2. So tier 1 just holds the IR title, right? But you cannot endorse. There is one more exam you need to take. If let's say, for example, you are working in construction or you are working in something need endorsement, you can go for one more exam, which will give you tier 2, which is we call it as a PEPC. So PEPC means professional engineer with practicing certificate, right? This exam is a challenging, right? So I'm explaining you guys this, just wanted to uh, give a basic idea. Maybe you can plan after this, right? Other than that, this is basically my professional engineer cert, TS cert, right? You can see 2019 I already get my TS. I'm using my master experience as a research assistant. And other than that, you can identify what are the areas which is our government is focusing, or our nation is focusing, or maybe it can be worldwide. So one of the area that I identify is it's something related to energy and sustainability. So what I did, I find a attachment in such a company, then I get my experience as well, 2 years, then I sit for certified energy manager. This is Asian certified energy manager. So it is eligible, not eligible, it is approved in 10 Asian countries, right? You need to take you need to take this examination and pass for it, right? And you need 2 years of experience, and at least you need to involve in some projects, so which again I related to the projects I did in my institute which I worked, right? Then certified professional measurement and verification, right? So this is another area which this is more to data management, so to quantify the saving and all that, right? So why I'm explaining you to you guys, because maybe you might interested in that, right? Then other than that, in Malaysia, if let's say you wanted to become an energy manager, then you need to register under energy commission, right? Energy commission, you need to register under them, right? This is under law, right? Under law. So I use this experience which I gained here, I applied here. So and I go for some interview and I passed it. Okay, just explain about the project. And apart from that, I wanted to keep myself relevant. Okay, relevant to the current industry or relevant to current practice. So I was actively engaging with this kind of talks, IR 4.0. And during my during this pandemic, most of the time we was working from home, right? So I try to attend as lot as webinar I can, because free knowledge, I don't want to waste it, right? Then other than that, I'm also one of the machine learning professional, right? So this, why I have to do this, I need to, just now I mentioned, this is I'm dealing with data, right? So I plan to come up with a new research interest. So that's why I learned this, right? So what I'm trying to say is, maybe we are just a postgraduate student, but there is always door for us to try other things as well, which might not be immediately show you the should give you the result, right? But one fine day, right? One fine day, it will make some difference, right? It will make some difference. Okay. And so what are the key takeaways from today's my sharing session? Right, first of all, self-reflection, identify your strength and weakness. Okay. Second, a good relationship with your supervisor, and keep on progressing in your research, and always add value in your postgraduate journey. That's what makes difference, right? So rather than you just complete your postgraduate, right? And believe me, it's not easy to get job nowadays, right? So in order to get job easily, we need some added value, right? So it's good to have master, it's good to have PhD, right? But you need to do some extra things, right? And last but not least, right? But last but not least, right? So if let's say normally I ask you guys, who are your role model, right? Normally we always point out someone very successful, or someone maybe very successful in our field. But believe me, no one can be better role model than yourself to you, right? You are the good role model, the best role model, and best idol for yourself, right? Because we might have our own idol. I mean, we might have our own role model, but always keep in mind we are not in their shoes. Maybe their life, what they go through, made them successful, but not necessarily we will be successful as them, right? So, what I'm trying to say here is be your own role model. So when you become your own role model, so you will have some responsibility on yourself, right? You will have some responsibility on yourself, and on top of that, you will always progressing, right? You wanted to be best than the who you are yesterday, right? So you always will meet your baseline. Means yesterday I was this person, so today I'm my own role model. So today I wanted to be someone better than yesterday. If not, no point I'm being my own role model, right? So with that, I would like to open for Q&A session, right? So if let's say there is any Q&A session, so feel free to ask me. I'm happy to share with you guys, right? And if let's say you wanted to contact me, maybe today's Q&A session, maybe you don't want to ask question, because I believe that some of you might be shy, and you can type. If let's say you don't want to type, maybe you can contact me. So this is my number, and you can connect me with my LinkedIn, right? And this is my Gmail, and even I'm active in Facebook and also Instagram, right? I'm active there. So basically work life balance as well, right? So you can keep in touch with me, you can connect with me, right? So with that, right, so I always would like to remind you guys, success is a journey, not a destination, right? So even though you're done with your PhD, you're done with your master, right, you might think that's your success, but actually not, right? So there is no end for success. It will be keep on going, right? It's a journey, right? Even for myself, I feel that okay, after I've got all these titles, right, am I successful? Not at all. The more titles you get, the more even in your research, the more in depth you go, we will realize that there is still a lot more things to explore. So with that, let us grow together, let us keep on going forward, right? So thank you very much. So let us open for Q&A session.
So if anyone has any question, you can ask Dr. Nagin right now. You may also can write your questions in the chat box.
Please feel free to ask me question, right? um, Thank you. Yeah, you're most welcome, you're most welcome. I'm happy to share actually. So any question, I mean, for the participant, if let's say you guys are having any questions, so just feel free to ask me, right? Or because sometimes if let's say there's no question, it makes me worry, right? So there is what we call uh, two situation makes always no question. One is you don't understand anything, or you understand everything. So I'm not sure in which stage you guys are.
Doctor, will you share the slides regarding how to register for all the certificates, professional certs, like the for the ways of
Mm-hmm.
registering?
Yeah, yeah. I will share my slide. I mean, maybe I can pass it to someone. Someone later you can share with others.
Okay,
Is it
thank
okay?
you. Yeah, sure. Any other questions from the participants?
Okay. Okay, Miss Aida. May I know if student in engineering technology is it can take IR title or TS only? Right. So for IR, the first thing we see is what's your bachelor degree, right? Bachelor degree. Let's say your bachelor degree in engineering. Yes, of course you can go for IR, but before this, even though your bachelor degree is not in engineering, you can top up with master in engineering and can go for IR. But unfortunately, start from 2023, so only only the bachelor degree courses can go for IR. So I hope I answer your question. But TS, yeah, TS. Even though you are bachelor degree in engineering or technology, definitely you can go for TS. Yeah. Okay, you're welcome. So Hafiz, yeah, you may ask me question.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Najin. Just to correct you on the TS
Yeah.
and also the engineering technology degree, graduates whether can pursue for IR. Yes, it is, provided they graduate with the Bachelor of Engineering Technology
Mm-hmm.
and top up with Master of Engineering.
Yep.
Then they can pursue for the IR PE to register as a GE with BM.
Yes, initially it was in that way, but recently, they will update. Recently, start from 2023, there is no more top up. I mean,
That one is
yes.
applied for the those Bachelor of Science in Engineering unaccredited, for example, with the Segi College and so on and so
Mm-hmm.
forth.
Mm-hmm.
But for the Bachelor of Engineering Technology, yes, they still can pursue that for the GE with BEM.
Okay, thank you anyway.
Yeah.
But I will check this again and update you. Maybe I can
Mm.
update Kati, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm also a PE.
Ah,
Thank you. Yeah.
Doctor, we have another question from YouTube by Nabiru Chan. Can doctor give tips on how to publish about 10 papers for your master? That was really inspiring. Thanks, doctor.
so 10 papers. Okay, the first thing I did is I divide my scope accordingly. Like for example, my objective, right? My objective, and during that time I was doing simulation, right? So sometimes, sometimes I'll be doing some trial and error works, but definitely it gives quality results. So I don't want to waste those kind of results. So what I did, I was actively publishing. So that's one of the approach I used, right? And other than that, I was talking about the other additional research I was doing. Okay, so it's not about I was doing research just for money. Okay, I wanted to capture maybe some input from those research as well. So I was publishing those research also. I was helping my supervisor, and we was publishing. So hope I answer your question.
So, any other question from the participants?
For the logbook method, if I work for family company, I still need to find a certified engineer as a mentor or supervisor, right? Yes, you still need to find a mentor which relevant to your field, which is relevant to your field, right? Because if let's say your family company, definitely your supervisor cannot be someone who is having a relationship with you, because there will be some sort of conflict of interest, right? So you need to find someone which is relevant to your field. Maybe it can be from your university, or can be from some other companies.
Okay, sure. So, any other question from the participants? We still have some time.
Dr. Nagin, Hafiz again.
Yes, yes.
Just one question, Doctor.
Yep.
Uh, just to get your opinion or any feedback on
Mm-hmm.
the doing the PhD part time, right? Because
Yep.
we are juggling between full time job and part time studies
Yep.
doing our PhD. And then, in your opinion or in your past experience, right? Normally, daily on the daily day to day, how long you spend to focus on your research actually?
Okay,
Just to give
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
some thought lah.
Okay, for my case, I don't really have a specific time. So how do I work? I work on my work, my goal basis. So if let's say I will target, okay, for colloquium one, so I need to complete this task before colloquium one. So I will work accordingly. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes working adults like us working adults, it is really difficult for time management, right? So I cannot set in a way that okay, every day 2 hours I wanted to focus my PhD. So it doesn't work in that way. So normally what I do, I will set goal and I work accordingly. In term of, for example, I will normally I follow the dates. For example, colloquium one. If let's say colloquium one in 6 months time, so I will prepare accordingly. Then the progress. So I follow based on what we call that milestone. Yeah. So that's the the approach I used, because I do understand, Mr. IR Hafiz, because uh, it's not easy, but the only thing is, if let's say we are able to follow the milestone, it is achievable.
Yeah, I agree with you. I salute your achievement, Doctor.
Thank you very
Really,
much.
I salute your achievement actually. It's a very, I would say it's very difficult lah, especially to maintain the motivation, right? The momentum.
Yeah, yeah,
If you are not read in the day to day and daily basis, you
yeah,
will lost lah actually. We will lost our track actually.
yeah, because sometimes I need to prioritize my work, because uh, sometimes we need to meet some deadlines, even my working place, or sometimes the part-time attachment I was doing, we need to meet deadline. So which one come first, so I need to work on that, then again I need to change to other work. And of course it was not easy, but for me it was a good learning process for me. And
Perhaps
yeah.
maybe Doctor,
Yeah,
maybe Doctor is a short term and long term apa ni
goals.
objective. We will have maybe.
Yeah, definitely. So I said that actually, then I work accordingly.
Alright.
Yeah,
Thanks for your feedback lah.
yeah. Welcome. You're most welcome. So from Mr. Firdaus Abdullah, what's the challenge publishing journal proceeding paper during the COVID-19 pandemic? It is easier because we don't have to get right. If let's say you ask me, that's not really a challenge. It's actually opportunity for us, right? We got more time to sit at home and we can draft our paper, right? The requirement is we have results, right? Even if let's say we don't have results, no worries. We can do review paper, okay? But the important thing is, you just imagine during this pandemic, most of us are working from home, right? We cannot go to lab. So this was the right time for us actually to active in publication, right? And talking about the attending seminar and conferences, right? So there is one hiccups there in terms of the networking, right? The networking, let's say we physically attend the conferences or seminar, yeah, we can meet academician or some other researchers or even people from industry. But online conferences, maybe it minimizes our networking, right? But anyhow, as I mentioned just now, we need to adapt things, right? We need to adapt things, like for time being during pandemic, this is the only way we can do, right? So we need to do it in that way. But I hope soon everything will back to normal and we can able to attend conferences. And student attending conference in is one of the motivation. When we meet more academician, we meet in people from industry, right? Sometimes outside of our country, right? We feel more confident, right? When we presenting in front of others, we feel more confident, and it is a type of motivation. Okay. And hope I answered your question, Mr. Firdaus. And talking about the fees, yeah, online conference for timing, the fees is cheaper compared to the physical conferences, because normally the fees charged just for publication, right? If let's say physical conference, we need to cover for food and maybe accommodation and so on. Okay. Okay, welcome.
Okay, is there any more question? Okay, there is one.
Okay, from Miss Ainina. Hi, doctor. Can you give some tips on how to respond to reviewers' comment for any publication? Maybe you have some tips or tricks. right? Yes, definitely there is. Okay, and let's say we are responding to the reviewers, right? So we need to be really in detail, right? Sometimes, believe me, sometimes even though your reviewer is, maybe they have same research interest, or maybe they are expert in that particular area, but sometimes uh, what they said is not necessarily right. Okay, so the only thing you need to do is you need to justify, receive your result in that way. You need to justify, you need to answer each and every comments given by them, right? So that is one of the tips which I would like to share. Even during my PhD, I have published a few ISI journal, right? So normally ISI journal, it comes with reviewers comment, right? But how do we feedback to their comments in term of, we need to answer one by one, right? Each reviewer's comment we need to answer one by one. Okay, and the important thing is justify it. Like sometimes they might question about your results, right? Or sometimes they might question about your method, right? And again, as I mentioned just now, you are the expert of your research, so you should be good at justifying it as well. Okay, other than that, maybe one more tips I can give you is, for example, you already targeted, okay, your research is relevant to this particular journal. Okay, you already targeted, try to do more readings on that journal, right? And try to understand the writing style, and try to look how they present their data in term of, maybe it could be graph, or it could be other way of showing the results, right? So try to be specific, try to observe, and when you are doing the writing, try to follow that. Okay, and it will be holding more chances for your paper to get accepted. I hope I answer your question, Ainina.
Okay, we can open for one more question. So if there is not any more questions from the participants, yes, we can proceed next. So thank you, Dr. Nagin. It was definitely a fruitful session indeed. We are looking forward to have more sessions with you in the future. I hope all the participants can do a proper planning for their postgraduate journey, or at least understand the fundamental aspects of our topic today. And thanks to all the participants who have been supporting and cherishing programs by Postgraduate Student Chapter Council. Uh, Please fill in the feedback form, and I would like to invite all of you for a photo session. Please open your camera and show that bright smile.
Okay, to all the participants, please turn your camera on for okay, get ready. One, two, three. Okay, thumbs up. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me here, and special thanks to Dr. Azrin. So hope can meet you, Doctor, soon.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you too, Dr. Nagin. It's really inspiring. Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay, so
Yeah,
bye everyone. Please stay safe, and yeah, so just keep on going.
okay. Thank you. Please feel free to engage with us in for upcoming further programs. Thank you so much. Till then, see you.
Thank you, Dr. Nagen. See
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome.